don't realize how much data they're sharing outside, and it could get very dangerous if they don't control it properly.
If you were not a cybersecurity expert, what would you be? Social media is a common place for hackers to steal personal information. Which social media outlet is hackers' favorite target? Is it Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, or LinkedIn? Because you're Italian, I wanted to know this. What's your take on pineapple on a pizza? Welcome to Cyber People Talks. We are on a mission to spread awareness about cybersecurity topics. And today, we have a special guest with us, Mr. Marco Martinelli. He is Group Information Security Officer at ISEC and has been transforming digital systems. He is also managing risk and compliance programs and making strategies for cybersecurity. So happy to have you here today, Marco. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you today?
I'm very good. Yes.
So Marco, we have audience who range between the age of 10 to 80 years of age. So the idea is to simplify the conversation and make it more approachable and available to our audience. So maybe we can start with who's Marco? Yep. What does he do? And what's happening in your professional world?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Marco Martinelli. I am 31 years old. I'm originally Italian, but I live in the Netherlands since almost 2 years. And I am currently Group Information Security Officer at ISEC International, which is a security company providing services in airport facilities throughout Europe and also outside Europe. I have been working here since February 2023, and my main role is leading the security agenda of ISEC Group, making sure that it's meeting acceptable security levels, improving throughout the years, and also defining the strategy for the group, making sure that it's compliant with security standards and regulation, and overall accountable for whatever happens.
Let's go back a little into your life, Marco. You are Italian, you grew up there. How did you get into cybersecurity?
Well, the start of the story is a bit different from what other people would say, because I didn't really start my studies with the idea of working in cybersecurity. I started studying international relationships for my bachelor degree in Italy. And then I switched for my master degree in security studies because I had interest in studying security policies for counterterrorism, anti-mafia in Italy. It's a very big topic. So cybersecurity was not really my main idea or what I really planned for my future. And I also didn't have a really technical background. I studied mainly law, governance, policies. So I was not really expecting to end up in this field. But then I started working as an intern during my study. I got offered an opportunity to work in an internship for an insurance company. I accepted the opportunity because it was good for my studies to get a bit of experience too. And since then, my journey started. I started working in this area almost 10 years ago. So yeah, it started from there, and I never left this domain.
Yeah. So it just happened by chance that you were doing an internship and you got into cybersecurity. But what was your original plan? Did you have any?
Yes, it was a bit of a phoenix I was chasing, maybe, because my dream when I was a student was to work for international police.
Oh, wow.
I had this interest for Interpol or Europol, that were the main organization in police enforcement. So that was my main dream. It was, very difficult maybe to achieve, but that was what I was pointing at. Then things became a bit more real, let's say. So started working, and in the private sector, insurance company. I thought it was anyway a good area where I could learn and develop. So everything came out naturally, let's say, since then.
Right. And other than working for organizations, do you have something that people don't know, like a special interest that you would like to talk about?
Yes, I have a very interesting, let's say, passion, which is not related to IT or technology at all, which is surfing.
Surfing. Oh, wow.
I am passionate about water sports in general, but specifically for surfing. And yeah, I try to practice it as much as I can during my free time, and it's kind of having a parallel life because it's totally different from what I do at the moment.
And how do you do that in Amsterdam?
It's cold. It's definitely colder than other places, but it's manageable. You just need a good will.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's great. It's always nice to have a good passion next to your professional life. It just keeps you going, I guess. And, if you are down in life, it just kind of picks you up, right?
Yes.
Do you have any kind of mantra in life or something that, has stuck to you since a long time, that this is what keeps me going? This is my mantra.
Yes. I would say that my mantra is to keep believing in what you're really enjoying in life. I think that it's a pity to waste your life waiting for the right opportunity, but maybe you just need to find the courage to just throw yourself in the challenge and just experience it. So my mantra would say maybe take the moment without waiting too much or without waiting for the right time, because you need to create your right time.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think that's what you did during your internship. You just took the moment and brought that to life to your profession, right?
Yes, it was not everything was we say in Italy roses and flowers. It means it was not easy as it appears, right?
Mm.
So also my internship had its own challenges. I had to face a lot of challenges, and the thing grew up through them. But that's where it led me. So I'm quite happy how things went.
So tell us more about it, because it completely changed your domain. And how did you manage? How did you learn? Was it like really a huge learning curve for you? Because you said you're not technical. So how did you manage this domain?
It was quite tough, to be honest. I think it really depends in the type of environment you start working. You need to be sometimes very lucky as an intern to find the right environment where you can really grow. Especially the private sector, I think it's very dynamic and frenetic, and most of the time they don't really wait for resources to develop at the level they expect people to be. So that puts a lot of pressure in young people, I believe, and it's not always easy to deal with this pressure. My experience personally was that I never felt, especially at the beginning of my internship or my work, I never felt I was at the right level as I was expected to be. So as a non-technical person, I had to deal all the time with technical people that sometimes are a bit resistant to young generations that are approaching this domain coming from non-technical domains. So I felt a lot of resistance from previous security people. This was definitely a challenge. Sometimes I felt uncomfortable. I felt not belonging to that area. So I think it's very tough to learn dealing with it. It's a process. It doesn't happen from one day to the other.
So it sounds very challenging how you actually grew from ground level to what you are today. How did you cope up with this mechanism?
Well, it's a big mental effort, I believe. What I generally believe about the security area is that even if it's a relatively new domain, there are a lot of people that are working since decades in this area. And especially people that are working since decades, those are very technical people. But since then, security or cybersecurity, information security became more approachable from different perspectives, also from governance studies. And this created a bit of a mix between older generations that are very technical with deep technical background and younger generations that are more governance oriented, politically oriented. So maybe they don't have that strong technical background, but they understand how processes work. But this clash between those two old generations, I think, created a bit of a issue or misunderstandings between people. So I faced, especially at the beginning, a lot of resistance, sometimes also a bit of discrimination from people that were older than me, because I always felt like I was not taken seriously, because it was a young person speaking, and it was not understanding the topics according to them. So you always need to deal with this belief barrier that you're young, so you don't have that understanding of cybersecurity, so you're not worth it. This was a big deal at the beginning for me, especially as a young student or a young worker. It put on me a lot of pressure. I never felt good enough, and I also think I didn't have the right mentorship to overcome those challenges. That's why I try to stress the mental part, because you really need to be strong mentally to realize where you're coming from and where you're standing, rather than just being pushed down or let down by other people, because I think that will always happen, unfortunately.
I think that's a very, very strong point which you just mentioned, that if you do not have that kind of academia, I think it's mentally you need to be very strong to be able to sail through and make sure that other people are actually believing in you while you are learning on the job, because you never got an opportunity to study cybersecurity at that time. But I think it's also a very good learning for our audience to know that even if you don't have education in cybersecurity, you can definitely move on and choose this as your career, like Marco did. And it's been a decade. You're still going strong. How do you feel about it now?
Well, I feel much better than before. I think that even if you don't come from a technical background, there are plenty of opportunities to learn and to develop. And cybersecurity, it's a domain so broad. There are so many aspects of it, and you can decide whether you want to be just focusing on one area, so maybe become a subject matter expert on one topic, or maybe you want to be more cross-functional. So you just need to know a bit of every topic here and there. It really gives you opportunity to choose which shape you want to get. So I think now I am much more aware of where I am and where I'm standing, and also where I'm going. And yeah, if you're really willing to get into this area, there are plenty of opportunities. You can do trainings, you can deep dive in specific areas. You can really grow and develop, and you can definitely overcome the challenges that are much smaller than than they look like.
Yeah. So let's talk about your decade of experience now within cybersecurity. What is one thing that you will pick out of those 10 years of your professional life where you think this has been one of the most challenging things in my profession?
Well, there are several scenarios I can think of. Maybe one of the biggest challenges I faced when I moved from Italy to Germany. It was my second country I lived in. And there I had a bit of a cultural shock because also cybersecurity, even if it's a technical background, it's made of people. And cultures are different all over the countries, and mentality is different from Italian way of working to German way of working to Dutch way of working. So I think that jump from Italy to Germany was the first big challenge I faced because I had to deal with the other people with a new mentality, with a new mindset, also a new way of working. So that was one big step for me. Then also I would say definitely the belief that quantity over quality is the right approach. It's something that I am not really comfortable with because I've always been a fan of delivering quality works.
What do you mean by quantity over quality?
There are, in my experience, I've always sometimes I felt that to be really acknowledged as a good worker, I had to really spend a lot of time on a certain topic and also show to people that I was working over hours or a lot of times, even in the weekends, to really prove myself. That's a mentality that I'm not really comfortable with. I really believe that quality over quantity is definitely the best approach in work balance in general. And I'm a fan of delivering quality work over quantity because it's definitely the better outcome in the long term.
Definitely, obviously. But when it comes to your work, is there any particular thing that you feel is a problem at the moment within the cybersecurity world that you would like to look at from a different angle, or how would you solve that problem from your perspective?
Well, what I mentioned before, this sort of discrimination for non-technical people, I think it's still existing. It was definitely stronger at the beginning of my career because I think also title matters. Unfortunately, it's not nice to say, but unfortunately, it's the reality. But that sort of discrimination is strong, and really, I could feel a barrier between me and the networking people or people that have a technical background. So I think that's a big issue. Maybe it will pass sooner or later because it's becoming so popular to have in cybersecurity people with non-technical background. So maybe this type of gap or clash between those two factions, let's say, will decrease. But I still believe it's there. And it's a bit of an issue.
Yeah, you just mentioned that, that now there are so many positions and there are so many opportunities out there because me being in the recruitment part of cyber world, I have seen that there are quite a few opportunities for GRC profiles, which is actually not technical. So maybe someone like you would fit into those kind of profiles. So you do see that there is a change coming in the market?
Definitely. I think that the cybersecurity market is one of the most active in every country, I believe. There is plenty of opportunities for people to work in the cybersecurity domain, and it doesn't really matter which background do you come from. That's a positive news. I think that if someone wants really to deep dive into this area, it just needs to study the market properly, but he can definitely find a way out. There is plenty of opportunity. There are a lot of companies that are looking for cybersecurity experts. So I am quite positive that the market is approachable and is favorable for us.
Yeah, yeah. Now, whenever someone hears the word cybersecurity, it's always very fascinating, and people are, oh, wow, you work in this field, and it's so fascinating for everybody. There are a few words which are negative that come to your mind, like hacking, scamming, and things like that. Have you ever faced a scam yourself, or have you been hacked before? And if you have, then how have you dealt with it?
Well, I receive plenty of attempts daily of scams.
But you're an expert, so you can very easily mitigate that.
Let's say I have some experience in recognizing them and avoiding them. But I have experiences of people that are close to me that were a victim of frauds, or they got their credentials stolen, also from their bank account, and they asked me for support. So in those situations, can be very difficult to manage because it becomes stressful, it becomes anxiety comes in. So dealing with those situations is not always pleasant. How I dealt with it, in that case, we reported the fact to the police and to the bank, and fortunately, there was an insurance that covered the person that I know that got safe, let's say. But there are plenty of situations where, unfortunately, this is not the case, and people just need to realize how to deal with those things.
And when it comes to organizations, do you have any examples for us where, companies have dealt with huge financial losses, and maybe something that you were also a part of?
Yes. In my daily life, I always deal with not real incidents, but stressful situations, let's say, where you need to learn how to deal with stress or anxiety from the people, because when something happens, you are the main focus, attention point, so everyone comes to you. And you need to learn how to deal with people, how to deal with screams sometimes. And it's not always easy. You also need experience to deal with that. What you need to do is just look the situation objectively and firmly and calmly and see what are really the actions that you can take. Situations can vary from time by time, and there are different action lists that you can take, but it's always important to have processes and procedures in place that you must follow, to have some predefined script.
Yeah, because it definitely, it just feels that it's not going to happen to me. We are too small of an organization. Who's going to, attack us? We are absolutely negligible in the market. But I think size doesn't matter in this.
What I heard most of the time in my work is that if it didn't happen, it's because it didn't happen yet. So there is always a risk that something could happen and could be harmful for the company. And always hackers are, let's say, one step ahead of you. So you just need to be prepared for what could happen, to have everything as secure as possible. But it's very difficult to be perfect, unfortunately. So if you work in this area, you need to be ready that those situations could happen, even more often than expected. And you just need to be mindful that you need to take that responsibility to handle stress and to handle this situation, because everybody will look at you when something happens, and it might not be a pleasant situation to be in.
So, everyone today has a digital footprint. Yes, yeah. Even my 10-year-old child has a YouTube account, and he's posting his own videos and pictures and stuff like that. So do you have any tips for children ranging from 10 to, 25, 30 years of age that should, feel protected? And what is it that they should not do to be able to survive in this world?
Well, I don't have children personally, but if I had, what I would definitely recommend them is to try to minimize the exposure that they have on social media, even if they might not listen to me. But that's the first advice. They don't realize how much data they are sharing outside, and it could get very dangerous if they don't control it properly. So try to minimize the data you're pushing outside, and also be mindful of which type of network you have. Like, don't be connected with everyone. Maybe keep your profile private. Something that they should keep in mind also is the importance of password security. So how they should manage the password for their accounts. Try to have different password for their accounts, not having all the same password. And if they could find a complex one, it's even better. And something else also that I discourage is to link different accounts with the same email or profile, or I don't know, with social media all connected together, because if you get one of those accounts stolen, then it's going to be very difficult also to recover from the other. I knew some situation of some workers that were working digitally, and they were connected with their social media, with Instagram. They lost their Instagram account because it was stolen, and then they were not able anymore to access their digital platforms. So that's something that I would discourage.
Yeah, I think these are very good points for all the genres, I would say, who are listening here. One last question, and then we're going to move into our next round. If you had to tell something to your younger self to do differently, what would that be?
I wish I had this opportunity, because what I would tell to myself is definitely to avoid listening all the comments that everyone has about you. Especially when you're young, you put a lot of relevance to what people say about you, and that you're not worth it, that you're not good enough. But I think you only know how much you're worth it and what you're capable of. So what I would tell him is definitely don't listen to what you hear around. Just think about yourself. Do the best that you can, and just follow what makes you feel good, what you feel it's right for you. Because sooner or later you'll get there. Nowadays, there is not a single way just to get to the best level in cybersecurity. As I said, there are different areas where you can evolve, different topics where you can deep dive. So you can really choose the right path for you. You just need to study properly and to plan it properly. But there are different ways. It's not only going from A to B, but you can just find different paths based on what you really want to achieve.
On this positive note, we're going to dive into our very interesting round, which is a rapid fire round. So we've got 8 questions for you, and you need to answer them as quickly as possible.
I will try.
Let's go with the rapid fire round. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay, brace yourself. If you were not a cybersecurity expert, what would you be?
Surf instructor.
Of course. What should you do if someone writes abusive about you on internet?
I'll try to be quick, but it's not a quick answer. I think it really depends on the severity of the comment. First of all, I think that the internet exposure, it's a boomerang sometimes. Like, you can get a lot of opportunities on the internet, but at the same time, you need to be ready to face the negativity coming from it. So if it is only a bad comment on my social media, like you're dumb, you don't understand anything, I would just ignore probably. But if it's something more serious, like a fraud attempt or something that could be criminally liable, I would definitely go to police authorities.
Okay. How can you figure out if you are on a fake website?
Well, there are different ways. So first of all, I would recommend always to check properly the URL of the website. could contain grammar mistakes or could be totally different from what you're expecting from. Then always make sure that there is a locker icon on top of the website, which means that the website is safe.
You mean where there is HTTP and a
Yes.
little lock there?
Yes,
okay.
exactly. And then if you can, always maybe double check the feedback on the website. If you want to be 100% sure, check the contact list and maybe just verify the contact points that are on the website. So there are different ways.
Nice. Okay. Social media is a common place for hackers to steal personal information. Which social media outlet is hackers' favorite target? Is it Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, or LinkedIn?
Well, my assumption is that based on the type of data that is stored, Facebook might be the riskiest one. There are anyway a lot of ways to manage those risks, and then it also depends what social media you're using the most. What I would recommend is always try to minimize the data that you have on social media. On Facebook, it's quite manageable, let's say. You can really minimize what you're posting or what it's online and what people that you don't know can see. So you can really deal with it. But I also think that LinkedIn sometimes offers a good information hub for people, for some spam or for some information that are not allowed.
Okay, interesting. Are you worried about giving away your credit card details when shopping online?
Well, I definitely pay attention to it. So I don't do it, I do it as a minimum. And when I do it, I just try to use a one-shot credit card.
Okay. A coffee shop that collects payments from customers by debit or credit cards, would that be liable under the data privacy law?
Yes. And not only, also for some other payment industry standard that requires a certain level of security for payment transactions with cards.
Okay. And do you shop items advertised on social networking sites?
Not that often, only from website that I really trust. Yeah, and not that often anyway.
Okay. The last question is a little bit off the track. Because you're Italian, I wanted to know this. What's your take on pineapple on a pizza?
That's a very good question. I will be very blunt about it. So originally, I really thought that it was a bit of a blasphemy to have pineapple on pizza. It doesn't really exist in Italy. But at the same time, I also want to be open-minded about it. So I promised to myself that sooner or later I will try pineapple pizza. So I will have full consciousness that is not good as I expect.
Thank you so much, Marco. It was a pleasure talking to you. And on this light note, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our first episode, and stay tuned for the next one.